Ninjago and forgotten concepts throughout its entire history is such an overdone video topic, I think, and I'm not even trying to call out other creators because mostly I've overdone it myself, so I'm kind of taking the blame for this. But when it comes to forgotten Ninjago villains, I'd say that it's even more bland and generic in terms of forgotten concepts throughout Ninjago's history, right? Because if I was making a very stereotypical forgotten villain video, I would probably make it a top 5. I'd then go over forgotten villains like, I don't know, the Iron Baron or the Ice Emperor, just those usual kind of, mostly renowned as bland villains that nobody really cares about, and those villains that just kind of get pushed to the side. I mean, it only makes sense, right? When you've got villains like Harumi, Pythor, Garmadon at the forefront of Ninjago villains. Other villains like, I don't know, the Ice Emperor, Asphera, just aren't necessarily really spoken about at all in comparison to the Ninjago villain titans. But no. You see, my recent Ninjago series rewatch has inspired me to talk a lot about these earlier Ninjago seasons, which is definitely going to be a theme you see on my channel over the coming weeks or so as I rewatch more and more of the show in general. But I think I have picked out the biggest forgotten Ninjago villain, or at least biggest Ninjago forgotten villain when it comes to quote-unquote main villains. I'm not talking about, I don't know, Mesmo from right in the background of one random episode. No. I'm talking a Serpentine general that had like 2 minutes of screen time in total and was just completely forgotten about. I'm talking General Slithra, I don't know, however you want to say it. I'll put the actual spelling up on screen for you now. But this guy was very strange, and he was the original Hypnobride general. Sometimes I actually do personally completely forget this guy exists. Please let me know if that is just me or if you guys are the same, because sometimes when I'm heading into these very early episodes and I'm rewatching them, especially when it's been a while since I last rewatched them and went back to revisit these early episodes, I go into it expecting Scales to, of course, be the main general, like for the rest of the show, right? But then I watch these very early episodes, like episodes 1 and 2, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, Scales has actual legs and he's plotting to essentially overthrow the general, which in this case was Slithra, and it's such a big shock to me, and it happens quite a lot. This isn't just like a one-time thing for me. I do genuinely just forget that Scales wasn't always the leader. But what is it that makes General Slithra, again, Slithra, I don't know, ignore my pronunciation on that, whatever you want to call him, right? But what makes this guy so forgettable? Well, I think it's a few things, and they're all quite obvious, really. Number 1, lack of screen time. Again, it couldn't get more obvious than this. Do I really need to say much more? This guy had literally probably around 5 minutes of screen time in a total, and that's me being generous. It may actually be more around like the region of 3 to 4 minutes. I'm not too sure. I've never actually had the encouragement and the motivation to time each scene he's in, because that just seems like quite possibly the most boring task ever. I think I would actually rather watch paint dry than do something like that. And number 2, the guy was just bland as hell. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with having no screen time, but there just wasn't any time to really watch this character on screen. He was just kind of there for the sake of being overthrown, to introduce Scales, who is going to be the new leader of the Hypnobride. There's nothing else to him than that. It's just kind of a case of like, okay, yeah, he's their leader, and that is literally it. There was absolutely nothing else going on with him. But I'll tell you guys what, I really do wonder what actually happens to him when he gained his legs. Like, was he just banished, or did he just become a background character that we maybe don't recognize? Because he ended up kind of just looking like all of the other generic Hypnobride foot soldiers, so maybe he is still there, to this day, under Scales' control in the army of Hypnobride. Who really knows? But I just find this guy to be so goddamn forgettable, to the point where, again, when I rewatch these early episodes, I completely forget of his existence in the first place, and that is exactly what inspired today's video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please do feel free to let me know if I'm wrong on this. Maybe he's very memorable to you guys, or maybe there's actually another villain I'm completely forgetting about that was a main villain, but only for a very short amount of time. If there is, please do fill me in, and I will consider making a whole separate video on it. Who knows? With this being said though, if you did enjoy it, please do leave a like on it, subscribe to my channel for more. It really does help me out, especially now that I'm trying to come back to YouTube for you guys. And also, turn on that post notification bell so that you can be alerted whenever I do post a new one, hopefully every few days or so. And with all of this being said, take it easy you guys. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.